came up with it?
I was one of the co-sponsors.
And anybody know they said,
Is your house in that?
My house in that?
Yeah.
My house is in moderate.
So your house is not in that? To be clear, your house is not in that, right?
My house is not in that.
Thank you.
shocked. I'm shocked.
Do we have to really go there?
Yes,
Yes,
we do.
I'm being completely honest.
Yeah,
They
I'm
do.
shocked. So let me just say one thing about all that. There are a lot of people in political office who just don't do meetings.
You know what?
Who don't do meetings like this. I've done in the last 3 years, I think this is my 4th meeting with audience. I didn't know this would be the audience tonight. Audiences that I know are not happy about the wildlife situation. It's hard to come when people kind of insult what you're doing. Now, I'm ready all day long for people to disagree with me. But a suggestion, gosh, I rigged the map so I wouldn't be an IHS, if that was what your comment was about. It kind of makes me kind of not want to show up because, you know, I don't like it, but then.
It's your job.
I'm a representative.
Well, I'm also wasting your time. Because if you think I'm a liar and in bad faith, there's nothing I'm gonna say that's gonna influence anything, right?
We can't hear you. Are they gonna fix the microphone for those of us that can't hear you?
We are asking for a microphone.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Thank you. Some of us can't hear you.
Okay.
Testing, can you hear this okay?
Can you turn it up a little bit? Thank you.
Testing.
There you go.
Is that good?
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
No, you shouldn't apologize. You guys adjusted really fast. I appreciate it. So one bit of housekeeping. There's numbers on the restroom doors. The men's room number is 125 and you hit enter. The women's room number is 135 and you hit enter. Okay, so I'm not here to make this about me. I'm just saying, you know, somebody who's tried kind of most of my life in politics to speak across the divide with people who don't agree with me and that I don't agree with, and it's getting harder to harder, it seems like, to listen to opinions that are different than yours. I think we're in a bad way in a country that way. And I'm going to keep trying, but I try to be really straight. And, you know, I don't listen as well when people start kind of implying that I'm totally dishonest and I'm not in this for the reasons I say I am and that kind of thing. So I'm just asking you if you can express all the opinions you want, but not make it personal. That's all I'm saying. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing for, like, Pacific Power, not doing their part in this?
Tons. Senate Bill 762 is a very big bill, 1/20th of which is the wildfire maps.
Can I ask you why they almost let my house burn down? Because number one, I live across the street from the fire department. They could not find our house, nor was the fire department equipped enough to shut the breaker off. The power company was 8 miles away. It took them an hour to get there. The fire department almost blew up a volunteer child by telling him to spray water on an electrical source.
Live.
When the power guy finally got there an hour later, he didn't know how to turn his own damn breaker off. What are you gonna do with that instead of making us be responsible for all the government's mismanagement?
Well, I don't know the specific answers to why on those
I want
questions.
to add something to that, sir. They have the trips turned up so high out where we live out in Weimer that when a
I'm
line
sorry,
breaks,
you say the trips?
the trips on
What's
the
that?
electric,
The circuit breakers.
the specific power, that you have trips. I'm a high voltage, I worked in that for years. They have them turned up so high, when the lines break a lot of times, they fall on the ground and they stay live.
Which was
That's
the
what
case.
happened on our property, in this man's property, and this lady over here, the Mintiers. It stayed live for 45 minutes before the fire department found it.
When was that? What year was that?
I don't know, she's got it on her phone.
20, just
With the
last year.
2025?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Oh, it was
So-
21, it
Well,
was 2 years ago.
let me make a general comment. Government at all levels was not ready for what's happened in Wildfire. last year.
Excuse me, sir, I wasn't done. They could not shut it off, could not find it.
You got the point.
And while they were calling, they still, well, the point is, all this goes on, and it's an hour and a half of fire is live with electricity, and they're putting us in a high risk. We're not high risk. Our area is not high risk.
Well,
We're neglected by the powers that be.
And this is how all these fires have started for years.
What I'm taking from your comments is that people were in charge who didn't know what they were doing.
Still in charge. to this
Okay,
day.
in answer to what 762 does on the utilities, is that it has required safety plans that have already changed a lot and are still kind of going on, to prevent the kind of thing you're talking about.
That was 4 years ago, and they still have nothing in place. They still cannot shut it off. The fire department cannot, will not do that. There's no one out there in that area other than the electric company, and they have no one designated to stay in these areas.
Well, on any specific thing that's happening like that, I would like specifics, and I would like to take the
The entire
seriously.
county, wherever there is not a Pacific Power office right there, there is nobody that can respond in a timely manner on, unless they are during business hours and they have work in that area. There was no one in Weimar. They had to come from Rogue River, and then they were sent the other direction from Rogue River. So they had to get him, they had to find him, they had to send out one man. And that's 50 square miles?
Let me take your question, I thought.
I just have a question as far as, we have, as you know, everyone here has their own strong opinion about what's happening. My question is that it would be nice for us to be able to have, for me, I don't expect you to be the only person, the go-to person, but if you could give me a name and a number to get some questions answered and some direction in which to go, it's that helplessness of not having a means of talking to someone
I get that.
about the problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, the best website that has, in one thing is a wildfire, I don't think they call it a hotline, but information line about just about everything, is the Oregon State Fire Marshals. And I don't think in my packet I have that number, but I was gonna give it on the Bill Meyer show tomorrow. So I'll do that, but if you Google Oregon State Fire Marshal and click on wildfire, you'll get to the best kind of central number there is about information. If they can't answer, they should be able to send you to a payment. Yes, back there, you have the floor. Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to hear your comments on the fact that I pay property taxes for fire protection, as well as I pay extra that I have to pay to a roommate, to a fire, for them to come to my house to protect me from fires, and what you believe that your discovery will do in addition to the amount of money that I'm already paying.
Let me see if I got that right. You pay on your property taxes for rural fire protection district.
I pay
And
for-
then if they respond, then they bill you.
So I pay like everybody in this room does, property taxes for fire protection. Then I am required with where I live already, if I want true fire protection, I pay extra for rural metro fire, which I'm happy to pay.
Right.
So what do you think that your discoveries that you have now brought are going to do in addition to that, as I'm already paying on top of the money?
Well, let me talk about money for a little bit, because right now, wildfire, just the basics are costing us about $300 million a year, pardon me. This last year it just cost $300 million, most of that was suppression. That's gonna go way up if we don't also invest in risk reduction, in prevention, and help people with grants to improve their properties and that kind of thing, which we did in Senate Bill 762, which we failed to fund after that, which I think is an atrocity. So there has been a long discussion about how to fund that. Some of it is more taxes, and we know how people feel about that.
To answer my question,
Well, I'll tell you what I wanna
your
do.
discovery is more property taxes from.
That is one of several suggestions. Let me tell you, what I have a bill, I'll tell you what I want to do. It's not going to get a standing ovation either, but it is a one-time payment, and this is how it works. I'll get to you, I swear, just next. You know about the income tax kicker, right? It's I won't go into the weeds, but if there's more than the economist estimates by a bunch, the surplus goes back to taxpayers. We got a pretty big one last year. There's another one projected coming up of a total of $1.8 billion. What I am suggesting is that one time we give that kicker up, we put it in a permanent trust fund, that if it gets 5% return and the treasury gets one time.
So you want
Trusted state that you shouldn't be right now. Great new bullshit.
I'll finish and then you can make fun of it. So what that would do permanently, we would never be coming back, never's a long time, permanent you can get in government, to say, guess what, we need more for wildfire. The just not spending the principal, but just getting the interest is about $220 million for the biennium, which is a big chunk of that $300 million. If you want a solution that's going to protect this valley and this state from wildfire and suppress the fires that has no pain attached, I don't know what it is.
How about we harvest the forest?
Amen.
How about we harvest it?
Amen. Maybe the cows can eat. Maybe just the cattle could graze just for a start.
You've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, how much of that 300 million is going towards hardening the BLM side? Because everyone in this room has taken care of their property. You're trying to talk us into hardening our property against wildfire. Have you seen your side of the fence?
Amen.
The
Yeah.
BLM is horrible.
State,
You know,
state,
no one's
and
been there
federal.
for years.
How come you're exempt from the same standards as us?
It's off like a wildfire because it's not been taken care of. No
So-
one's even been up
for
there. It's
over
blocked out.
100 years.
So what is your plan to get your side of the fence ready for fire season?
We
Because
need-
we don't need to spend as much money putting them out if we put more money into preventing them.
Harvest
Cleaning
it.
the forest off. There is forest science. It's a real science. You can
Yeah.
prove it. You can do it over and over
Becky, you
again.
wanna call
Forest
You don't have to-
management.
Golden.
So, when you say your side of the fence, you mean BLM?
BLM.
Okay.
He was talking
State and federal. State and federal.
Yes.
All are in this room who already maintain their
Yeah,
land.
we live there, so we have a dog in the fight. We take care of our property because we live there and we don't want it to burn.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
99% of forest fires come off of BLM onto private property and take our stuff out. 1% come off of private and go into wild.
Yeah.
And you want
Can I
to
just say
make
that-
it about ours.
No, let him finish.
Let me just say that there are a lot of different statistics about that. And one thing that's happened, one thing that this bill did was mount a set of video cameras around the state for early detection. And the amount of fires that start on federal lands from lightning and come into communities has dropped through the floor. Now, and I can get your source on this, the majority of fires start in the home ignition zone, which is where we live right
So
now.
you
Some of
should-
them are
you
still
deny what
lightning
he
fires.
said then.
But answering your question, forest management is a piece of this puzzle. I disagree with folks who say that's the whole ball of wax, just do that and we're fine. Because you look at an Alameda fire and the fuse, or turn that into a moderate fire to a conflagration, was the condition of people's yards. So there's, we gotta,
Houses were too-
Wind and arson.
I really am trying to answer. So,
Okay.
we've gotta fight this thing on a number of fronts.
Okay.
On the federal front, a federal act, one of the COVID acts, 2 or 3 years ago, allocated $5.6 billion for fuel reductions on BLM and the U.S. Forest Service.
How'd that work out?
Oregon, well, it's still in process. You know, there's a,
Wait, didn't you just say though that the whole ball of wax isn't in cleaning up the BLM?
It
side?
isn't in any
But
one
this whole
place.
thing is to get us to
no,
put money
it's,
into our
no,
property.
if you look at the whole bill, it's not the whole thing.
I'm asking you about the BLM side. When are you
Okay,
gonna get in
you
there
mean,
and
and can I
pay
say
troops
you
to
mean
clean it out?
federal lands generally, whether it's BLM or Forest Service?
Yes.
Federal, okay.
Yeah, everything that ain't
That,
private.
I think that's a really fair beef, that I'd walk properties that are just the other side of public lands that are all overgrown, or county lands because there's no county ordinance, we're one of the few counties in kind of the fire-prone part of the state that lets grasses just grow and doesn't ask anybody to do anything about it. And I totally get that someone says, you want me to meet these standards in my yard, and over the fence is a mess. I've seen some of that. So, the feds have started doing a better job, and what we need to do is get them coordinated with us. And we are trying as hard as we can to make sure that that risk reduction work goes on near the
Can you be
community.
specific with what they've done and gotten better with? Be specific, please, sir.
I'd have to get some of the maps on
No,
that, but
be specific. You're talking here in front of your constituents, and that was just, that came out of your mouth.
well, they spent in Oregon something like $150 million.
Where?
I don't know exactly. And
Where?
I need to find that
Wasn't
out.
on prevention.
Well, I'm
You want
calling
more
it.
money, you don't know where it goes.
I got a good
Could we let this gentleman speak, please?
Yeah.
Everybody in here is gonna complain, and I guarantee you, every single person.
Speak up.
So, can you explain to us what we're supposed to do with this letter that came out? What are you expecting from us? I mean, my property is fire safe. What am I supposed to do?
Well, let me talk to some
Hey.
of that, and I want to do more listening and talking tonight, because I'll be talking tomorrow morning with somebody from ODF about some of these questions. First of all, I guess I'll talk about this high hazard thing. I have walked a lot of properties starting 2 years ago with property owners who are not happy with their rating. And in some cases, I could point to why, you could see why they were rated the way they were. And in others, you just couldn't. You just couldn't. And that has been the hardest thing I've had in public life. When you go to OSU, the model that predicts catastrophic fire has been developed over the last 20 years, looking at all the catastrophic fires and what caused them. And so what this bill said, based on that work and earlier work by a group that met for the governor for a full year on wildfire, was incorporate the standards for a map and told OSU to go make the map. I will add that this bill passed on a bipartisan basis. None of us were involved in the actual development of the map. But what they had said, and I really understand why people have a problem with this when they walk the ground. It's really hard to do a program when you walk the ground, and it doesn't make a ton of sense what you're looking at, is that these fires have reached an intensity and an ember depth distance and a fuel length that a single property doesn't stop fires. And if you looked at any of the big fires of the past, Paradise, you name it, what's happening in LA right now,
Be overgrown.
you would have walked through a whole lot of properties that were pristine, perfect in terms of fire reduction. But it didn't matter because of the intensity of these fires. So the inputs on these maps are 4 things.
And that was all because of the BLM in the government lands.
That's because California didn't take care of their shit. You're setting us up.
What would be their rating?
My understanding of the fires in LA is that they did not start on federal lands.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah,
They say they don't know how they
so
started.
these are, it's not an either-or thing. We're having urban wildfires that are urban fires now, instead of just forest fires. We didn't used to have that. So I guarantee you that people who really took good care of their property had the fires blow right through them in any of the big fires you can mention. So what that means is, it's on us to figure out the federal land problem you're talking about, and we talk all the time with our federal delegation. It moves ridiculously slow, but we have to keep on that. And we have to look at fuels within our WOE. We got to do both. So the basis of this map, with the inputs of topography, because fire tends to move uphill, climate, weather, and vegetation is what yielded this. And I totally get the frustration of people say, my particular property, take a look at it, I've done that, I've been frustrated. And But I don't know that they're wrong about this model of what has caused these great big horrific fires. And let me take a couple more questions and I'll go on. Yeah, with this
Answer my
election.
question, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, what are we
If I
supposed
have
to
this
do?
letter? What's my responsibility?
Yes,
Well,
yes, thank you.
well, you can,
Pay more.
I would not recommend spending money on a lawyer.
Well, I don't want to, but what am I supposed
So,
to do?
well, you can appeal, and we'll be talking about this tomorrow, because the guy from ODF who's administering the appeals is gonna be on.
How come he can't be here tonight?
Pardon me?
How come he can't be here tonight?
Because we had no idea that this meeting would turn out the way it did tonight.
Oh my gosh.
I came out from my annual
And how's a
beginning
regular person
session
supposed
at
to?
home.
Thank
So
you.
how were we supposed to know?
Thank you.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Okay. With that letter, you have a right to appeal if you want. I think, my understanding is, if you appeal and say on the basis of the characteristics of your property, come look at my property, the way I've dealt with it, your appeal will not be successful. That's my understanding. You have to show that according to the inputs of the map, a mistake was made. And mistakes get made, but I doubt that there are many. And I'm also really concerned about the based on the model. Based on the model. You have had your hand up for a long time.
Can I just ask what's wrong with this obvious suggestion that if you just talk to any blue collar folks around here, they all say the same thing? Is there any way that we can just fast track, okay, the private contractor to get in there, yes, on these government, these BLM lands, whatever, with machines, and be in there chipping up these 100-hour fuels, these 1,000-hour fuels? Can we not rely on the federal behemoth that takes so long and we have no idea what they're doing? Because I'll tell you what, you get some private contractors in there, there's something fierce, they're gonna get it done. And it'll put people to work down here for a long, long time.
Amen.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Does that not make sense? Is there any reason?
I think that's a reasonable idea if we pay for it. If now
You've
we.
got a big
You already have the
trust.
money. You already have the money.
I don't have a dime. That's a proposal.
You already have the money.
What, are you talking about the kicker?
You already have the money. You said it would cost money. You've already got the money, man.
We do?
Taking the money.
Yeah, I was 150 million, you don't know where it went.
Hey, save the
If you
kicker.
get the kicker.
Save the
If you get the
kicker.
kicker, you got the
We don't
money.
need no
I will
kicker.
tell you, there are probably people in this room, and there are a ton of people in Salem saying, we're not touching that kicker. I think it makes sense. If we did have that, maybe we could do that. We are relying, because it's so much federal ground, we are relying on the feds to take care of it. They have not been doing a good job.
They're not doing us right.
And we are, I do think it's changing. I'm sorry I think.
Let Oregonians take care of it. Let Oregonians take care of it.
Yes, ma'am, right there.
I would like to know if on behalf of your constituents, you will tell us how we can get this bill repealed.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Well,
Can it be repealed?
I will be very straight with you. I oppose repeal because it does 95%.
Don't care what she asked you a question.
Let me, I don't think you want to repeal this bill.
We do.
May I finish? Can I finish my sentence, please?
Answer her question.
I am answering her question.
Thank you.
Let me tell you why I think I don't want you to repeal Senate Bill 762. Let me say it. The wildlife maps, I'll say it one more time, are about 5% of Senate Bill 762, which has brought a ton of money to this community and others in fire personnel, fire trucks, all kinds of things. What I think you want to do is amend 762 to change this map. This mapping. Am I right or am I
We
wrong?
want to remove the map.
Okay, that's an amendment. I'm just saying, there's a ton of good stuff in this bill. I don't think anybody.
5%'s bad, what's in the other 95%?
What do we need to repeal it?
Well, you can do one or two things. You can find a legislator who wants to do that, and then can build a majority of legislators to pass it. or you can do an initiative petition and take it to the ballot yourself. Those are the two ways to do
So
it.
how many signatures do we have to legally force one of you all to do that as your constituents are asking? How many signatures does it take to force you to bring a repeal?
I don't know of a process like that. I don't know the process of the first.
I understand it, but they have to have one of them to bring it forward.
What about the
There
county
are a
commissioners?
bunch of people waiting for process.
They're all in bed together.
You said, change the map is based off of 5 things. You said that somebody might wanna come out and walk your property to see if it was incorrect. Me personally, my property says there's 4.22% of properties in the state higher than mine in danger. Mine's a little specific. I have a metal house, built fire foam and concrete. I have heavy equipment. I'm a structural firefighter. That's what I do for a living. I have firefighting equipment in the house. I put in fire breaks, cleared property to the point that I've gotten funds from the Department of Forestry to do so. And it's almost like they're not talking to each other. I've gotten a
I'm
cleared.
sorry, forestry funded you to do what?
Oregon Department of Forestry
Clean it up.
funded me to do fuels reduction.
Well, there are,
They've
that was
given
part of
me-
that bill
They've
too.
given me thousands of dollars to do so over a couple of years. I've cleared it. It has not affected my fire map rating at all. When you say individual properties don't affect the map, I own a couple hundred acres. So is somebody gonna come look at my property specifically, or are we just blanketing everything? Are they gonna look at,
Well, let
are they
me-
gonna look at the funds that you guys have given me to do that work, that has no effect on my?
So let me say something about that. It's true that the work you do doesn't factor into the hazard rating. Where it does factor in is, you're good, you're done. What that high rating does, at some point, is kick in a couple set of rules. One is how you're doing your defensible space. And from what you've said, you are past what the standards are.
But it has no effect on the fire map in my rating. To the point that I got a phone call in the spring, and that the insurance company I had for the last 12 years dropped me, specifically noted that it was due to the fire map. And they did, they 100% did. They shopped 18 companies. 3 of the 18 companies would give me insurance. My insurance was $2,800, it went to $8,400.
Yeah.
And they stated it was specifically due to the fire map, and I said, that's supposed to be legal. It is illegal, but we're doing it anyway. So none of
That's why we're all here.
None of my own preparation and or funds that I got from the state to do this work are affecting your state fire map. So is there going to be a site-to-site visit into everybody's property, or is this just a blanket statement?
I don't think you can get a site visit to get advice on how to make your landscape, you're already there. Yeah, so I gotta go to insurance, and I know this is tough, and I know it ticks people off. The insurance commissioner has sworn affidavits from every single company that they did not use our maps. Every one of them. Every one of the companies has their own maps, their own, I mean, if you look at when these started, these spikes in premiums and non-renewals, they started even before this bill was passed.
They're lying to you, Jeff. They're
Yep.
lying to you.
Yep.
Well, I'm not sure why they would have to swear, perjure themselves on an affidavit. They could have said, yeah, we used the map.
How many rates went up last year?
But, the insurance problem is huge. It's national, it's huge, it's threatening homeownership. Best I can tell, I wasn't in every closed door meeting. I can't tell you for an absolute fact, nobody looked at the map when they were making underwriting decisions. I strongly believe that nobody who's in a bad way on insurance right now would be in a good way if it weren't for this bill.
No.
Come on now.
And then they created their own map that you gave
He didn't even
them
blink.
a loophole to use your map to triple our insurance rates.
Well, I understand your anger on that, and I can't disprove what you're saying. I don't think that companies sign
I can't disprove what you're
for no
saying.
particular reason at all. We have a huge problem, but they didn't need our maps. And
Then the huge problem is that your wildfire maps.
Yeah.
It needs to
Yeah.
go away.
I got a good question for you, Jeff. Jeff, do you happen to know a good lawyer that we could start a class action lawsuit and sue the state for their fire maps?
So they're playing the lawyers.
Jimmy Powell!
I don't know who to recommend. You know, Medford's full of lawyers. Get Miss Ma'am and then we'll go there.
I have a problem understanding the map. First off, I don't understand why properties moderate, a huge color of purple, and then in the middle of it is one tax lot that's green.
Yeah.
What made that property so special that that one's green?
Is
Commissioner.
Is that the current map? Because there was a lot of that. They called it spec lake. They called it spec lake and they came back and, but they were trying to get rid of just about all of
And a
them.
lot of addresses don't come up there. I have a piece of property, and if I put an address, it pulls up property 3 properties away. And that address has been assigned to that property for 20 years. So, and I've tried some other properties, and they show no address when you click on that tax lot. This map is very scary. It looks like a 2-year-old came in with an address. Exactly.
What you're talking about now, I think, could be a successful grounds for appeal. What won't be is,
Yeah,
I
they'll
take
come back
great
and make
care
it
of my
red.
property, so it can't be high hazard. Because it's a landscape scale map, and I try not to go in the weeds too much there. What I don't want is now the appeal that you can do online with that 1-page thing is not a great big deal. But I'm worried about people getting frustrated if they go out and hire lawyers, if they're making an appeal on a basis that's not gonna be successful. And everybody's got the right to appeal, I'm not telling you not to. I don't want it, people are frustrated enough to do this right now, sure.
This problem has been going on for more than a couple of years. This has been an ongoing decade problem of the mismanagement of our roads. People take care of their homes, we live on them, we chop down trees. It's the state and federal government that has failed to take care of the surrounding properties that are a majority of this map. We're surrounded by high fire areas owned and managed by the government.
Truth spoken.
Millions of dollars have been spent, and yet it's been a failure. You were talking about this bonus money, $1 billion. That's just tax money that you kept.
That's
You're
right.
saying-
We haven't done that.
No, but if we're going to, we're gonna keep interest on our money, and you're gonna tell me if you get another 300 million, you're gonna use it better than the last probably 500 billion or million you've spent over the last 20 years?
That's right.
What are you gonna guarantee us? If we give you our money, you keep it, which you shouldn't. But if you do, you're gonna do anything better except hire more people, more administrative fees, come in and make some excuses. It's not gonna help our insurance bills, is it? You're not gonna come and tear down trees for us. So tell me what you're gonna do with our money that you have already wasted before. What's new? What program is the new one?
Well, let me say this about the $300 million. Every penny of that went to suppress and fight fires. We're not getting ahead of the game. We're just putting fires out at this point.
Exactly.
We're not doing the kind of grants that the kind of.
So get ahead of it with the contractors in the forest now.
Put the loggers in to take care of
That's
business.
right.
Loggers in.
There's another
Let's
piece,
make money, not treat it like
there's
this.
another piece of
Right
the
now.
puzzle that nobody's talking about. 70% of fires are human caused. How many of these fires that we've experienced, including in LA, have been caused by homeless?
Yep.
People who are mentally ill. That's really a big piece of the puzzle.
I
And
don't
now
know.
we,
I don't know the answer to that question. I would have to say some. There's a lot that happened from things like, trailer chains dragging on the concrete.
Give us some statistics on that.
Come on, man, statistics.
You know I can't give you the number of those, come on now. But your point is that homeless folks with careless campfires, whatever, that is probably what caused the Almeida fire. That is true, that happened.
they purposely start them down in LA and they say, well, I like to smell the leaves burn. And-
Well, so I think what that says is that we have even more challenge. I mean, what do we do about that there are homeless people out there? who
Mentally
are-
ill, they need
Yeah, what, you know, I'm not sure that moves us to a solution, it probably moves us to bigger bills. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm just saying, there's other pieces to the picture,
Yeah, that is a piece of.
and but we're being
And the
punished.
far back.
Yeah, I had the privilege of working for AT&T on towers, and I've been all over Southern Oregon. And I will tell you, places like Solomon Butte, over here, near Cave Junction, they're ready to explode now. 5-year solution from the feds, it's gonna be gone. It's gonna absolutely be gone. I've come here to try and hear a solution. We need solutions today, not 5 years from now, or we will lose Ashland Cornet.
I agree.
We will.
I think what we're seeing in LA is a preview of coming attraction.
So what are you?
That's the plan.
Well, that's what 762 is about, is trying to take on. No, but you're talking about the mapping that you obviously hate, I get that. But it takes this problem on about 10 fronts.
Don't talk to us anymore.
Sir, to finish my statement,
Yeah.
our government seems to be bent on not profiting and solutions that benefit us, but rather scarcity.
Yeah.
Your solutions all deal with scarcity. We have the means, we have the people here, we could fix this if we're given permission. Your Salem organization and the DC, don't give a rat's behind about those solutions that are right here. That's why we're mad.
Say a little bit more about the solution you have in mind there.
Local employment, clear the
Amen.
brush,
Yes.
let them profit with the trees, which used to pay our school
Right, the
bill.
logging.
Okay, okay.
We need to go back to what worked, because
Let-
what's here doesn't work.
Let me say something about that. I actually think that could be part of the solution, but what I hear from folks is, this is pretty simple. Let's get out and log all that stuff and we won't have a wildfire problem anymore. I think if you're out in the woods, but certainly what the foresters will tell you is, we've got areas that are the most fire prone, the ones that really stoke these fires. And we've got areas that have commercial log value. The overlap between those areas is really small. It's not like just go ahead and log and you've dealt with the wildfire problem.
Have you ever logged?
Yeah, in my early days, I used to log it.
Because there's a lot of loggers in this room.
Yeah, right. And I know that, I mean, this whole town and communities based on logging. But where our problem is, where these fires gain their intensity, their heat, are not in stands of commercially desirable timber. And I'm quite sure of that. That doesn't say that the idea of doing some more logging to pay for some of this is a bad idea, it's a good idea. But any idea that it is the solution, I believe is incorrect.
The commercial logging will pay for that shit logging. Taking all that out, you're making money, you're the government, you're not supposed to put it in your pocket, you're supposed to put it back in.
We're supposed to pay for programs.
It will do that, it will pay to clear the other stuff out.
Well, that's contrary to what I hear from foresters that walk the ground, but, I'd like to see some analysis that says, there's so much value out there that it will pay for all the non-productive clearing and our other fire suppression.
They wanna protect their value.
Their analysis for you. You're having them make these stupid ass maps, have them do analysis on what it would do,
Yeah, yes,
what it
sir.
would benefit you.
Well, they've already,
She's not a sir, she's a man.
OSU has already commented on this and said, yeah, there's some value on there.
Talking to me,
but-
actually, he pointed at me, my arms are falling off. So I have two questions. So I deal in a different set of the government, and you write rules, and the agencies change the way they're implemented to far beyond the way the rules are written. That's a problem. And the only solution, everybody here, my guess, has got one of these. I got about 30 of them. I'm a developer. I cleared a piece of land, I skinned it, I sent the map to the ODF and showed them that the forest was no longer there. I never got a response, I never got anything. and I showed them aerial photos and included their aerial photo right next to it, so it was clearly obvious what the deal was. So how am I, what are you gonna do? What's the legislature gonna do to follow up with ODF to make sure that they're running these hearings in a reasonable manner? Because right across the street, I developed the other 100 lots there, right across the street, same topography, but there's no longer the trees there. That's not in the wildfire zone, but my skinned land, there isn't any more foliage on it than on that board right there. And so, somebody isn't paying attention there. What are you gonna do to make sure that they are paying attention when we submit appeals?
Well, that's the judiciary, that's an administrative law.
Did the microphone quit working again?
What are you gonna do, though? What are you gonna do to make sure that the judiciary is doing their part that you're telling us about?
Well, we'll have them report to us, and it is not my role to sit in and say, yeah, he's right, he's wrong. It's not, that's what judges do. How do you fix it? So,
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, I'm sure others are sitting here with the same, and that is, I read over everything before I came to the meeting tonight on the rules that you're saying pertain to insurance companies not being legally able to draw you. Your rules can state that, but the fact is that I'm gonna give you, for instance, which I'm sure everyone has, insurance company, 35 years. All of a sudden I get a letter in the mail. All of a sudden I get a letter in the mail saying that they've gone over and viewed our property and we need to take care of some trees. They come out, we take care of the trees. The next year, they come out and they drop us. And then I say, I did everything that you said. We've cleared everything around the house. What is the problem and what can we do? They basically said, nothing. We just are dropping you. Asked a reason, they don't have to give a reason. They're just dropping you. So even though you have a law that states that the insurance can't do it, they're doing it anyway, and they're getting away with it. So let me just finish what I've been waiting for a while in this. So as a property owner that has acreage, I have irrigation. I could use that irrigation if a fire broke out. I could use that to protect my property. PP&L comes in and kicks off the electricity. Now I'm sitting there with a piece of property that I could be defending myself, not waiting for a fire engine to come in and do anything. But I have no means to do it. And they don't have to give a reason. Plus, you guys state that we're supposed to be informed prior to. Some of us have medical things that we use in our home. We're not being told ahead of time to get things ready, to get things going. You're sitting in your front room and your lights are out. They're not informing people, they're not calling, they're not doing any of that. You call and you try to get someone, and that's the problem is, I feel bad that you're in this position with all of us attacking you right now, but we're coming to you when you say that it's not in your jurisdiction or your job type, description, but we're coming to you saying, what can you tell us, what direction that we can go in? Not saying just, it's not my place to do anything. We need you to tell us, for us to know what direction to go in, because we're not getting anywhere. And you call a department, you're lucky if you get a real person that you talk to.
Yeah.
And you have to go through all these automated things, and then you wait for 45, 2 hours, whatever, and then you get disconnected. So I'm just saying, we are lost. Yes, we are.
How do you not know that?
We are lost of what direction that we can go. We don't expect you to answer everything or the be-all and do-all person, but we need help as property owners. It's like, would you agree that PP&L is turning off, in my opinion, they're turning off the electricity because their equipment is not up to par for what it is that it needs to be doing. So they're turning it off because they're covering themselves for liability.
15 times 8 hours, my tower.
Would you agree with that,
Do you
Jeff?
post it in your town?
No, I live in Weimar.
Okay, I know the town. Yes, I think they are cautious, more cautious than they used to be, and shutting people down or letting things go
But
down
they shut us
because
off
of their
15 times in
liability
8
to
hours.
wildfire. Now, we have to hold them liable for wildfire. We, because so many of these are new projects.
So how do you fight your own fire if they shut you off?
Well, that's a good question.
They shut it off because they are responsible for so many other fires that they don't want to be responsible again. That's the problem. It is.
Everywhere you look, we're in a mess with this thing, because we have utilities starting.
And it all started because of that.
California Pacific Power, Pacific Railway, belly up because of their liability. Could happen in Oregon. We need utility companies.
It will happen in Oregon if this is not fixed and you don't let them, like these guys are suggesting, you go out and just log it, pay for it, and have it be done.
But to her question, if not you, who do we go to help us? If you can't help us clear out the floor for us, if you can't help us solve the situation, who is it?
Well, there are different pieces of this. What is in my jurisdiction is to have a public hearing where people can testify, don't have to go to stand, you can do it online, of your experiences on this map that other legislators could hear too. I said before, I'm not open to appealing 762, because I think it is too much good stuff. I am open to talking about how we change this mapping system. If there, I don't know what the answer is exactly. I both, when I walk the ground and can't see the sense of a high hazard designation, that really bothers me. I'm not ready to say that, these thousands of fire scientists are totally bogus when they create a model like this.
Would you agree that there is?
No, it's the college kids.
Jeff, would you agree that there are enough people that have frustration
Thousands of
and
fire
are,
scientists.
would definitely do whatever we want to do to meet together? Whatever we need to do, we would do, but no one is coming to us. We are just sitting here getting this in the mail saying, this is your new map, and this is what you're gonna have to deal with. And we're not given any direction. You're saying, even doing an appeal or getting an attorney, thank you for saying that it would be a waste of money. I knew that it would be a waste of money to get an attorney, but I think you, in your position, should be able to tell us what we can do to help this situation out.
Well, I would think possibly, the testimony could lead to energy to amend 762 around the map.
So what would be the steps for each of us to come to that, where we give a testimony? Where do we go? How do we get it established?
Well, I always announce in my newsletter when we're holding hearings. And you get that just by putting your email address on the site, on my government website. You never share emails with me. You'll get the newsletter, and we would announce when that would happen, and then you can sign up for vote and testify. I gotta tell you, the truth of things is that so many people who testify, not on this, but on everything, that often testimony is limited to 1 or 2 minutes, and what you can do is submit written testimony. So that's not always been satisfying. But I'd be willing to.
Can I?
One of the problems that I'm finding with the map.
Maybe you should just start talking here.
When I go to the website and it says, here is the link to get to the public data that's behind the map. You try and click on that data and those files won't open. So there's no way that I can check to see if anything is accurate.
How recent is that experience?
What's today? Today is Thursday? Tuesday.
Okay, so would you have my email? Would you drop me an email and I will specifically do that? That's not a problem. Let me see if there's anybody who.
Because they don't have the numbers even behind it. You get a number that says, here's your wildfire hazard value. Mine's 1.5 something, not in the top 0.54% of the state.
So I'm an overachiever, I guess. But it says it's supposed to be based on climate, weather, topography, and vegetation. There are no layers that tell what those are.
I want to follow up with you.
And when I talk to the people upstate, they say, well, we run all these model things. I go, okay, where can I check that? Well, you can't. I can't do it.
Will you follow, I know you know what you're doing. Would you follow up with me?
I will.
Yes, you should.
One thing I haven't heard here is in your notice is that you come out and inspect our property, we'll have to improve our property. Not only get rid of that segregation and 6 foot tall, but your house. If your roof isn't right, if you're gonna remodel your house, now you're gonna have an enforcement, you're gonna have people coming out to enforce, possibly most likely new building codes. But you're gonna have to build in a certain way so you don't have a fire. How much is that costing everybody in this room to do it?
Let me speak to that a bit. First of all, to be clear, you did get it right. There is no law, no intended law to make you change your existing house.
Or you get a fine.
You started this, that's the next bill, you're gonna have an enforcement. Enforcement will come.
I will tell you that I'll buy you a very big lunch if you can support that.
That's right.
Really?
Right.
Wow. On your house. I want to ask, there is, when this takes fully hold, if you are in high hazard and add your house to build a new house, you have to hire which, by the way, your insurance company wants to see too. But as far as the extra cost, it has been wildly exaggerated. And if you shop for building materials, you go ahead and compare the cost of a metal roof to a shingle. You compare, or any other roof. I'm not saying that it's never $1 more.
Maybe that's not a
It's
big
4
cost.
times as much.
Maybe that's not a big
It's
cost
4
to
times
you.
as much. A metal roof compared to asphalt shingles is about 4 times as much.
He's right.
I'm in the industry. Look it up. Google it.
So what the building code says is, generally speaking, it can increase the value, the price of new construction 3 to 11% altogether. Now tell me if you've been shopping more recently than me. What is the comparative cost of wood siding, not timber, but wood siding, and hardy plank?
Or double.
Double. Okay, well, I'll say that's different, the figures, but if you're doing the shopping, I'll believe you on that. But as you think about this, the big picture, and let me talk about this. I know that we are in an unsatisfactory situation. What drives me, the reason I ran for office this last time, what gets me up in the morning is doing everything I can to keep this valley from moving. There's a lot that I can't do. I fully believe that what we're seeing in LA right now is the road valley in the 2030s. If we don't do some really drastic stuff, it's going to be more expensive for us, more inconvenient for us. Those of you who are saying, let's get into the federal forest and clean them up, that is part of this. I'm not going to agree with you that just do that in the papers.
How can you deny that though? Because in the 90s, you never had this problem.
Exactly.
Until the spotted bird became endangered.
We also didn't have the humidity we have, we didn't have.
We had the same thing every
30
year.
or 40
Don't you try to pull climate
summer
change.
days. We
Don't
didn't have
pull
water
climate
tables
change.
dropping, we didn't have Santa Ana winds. We are-
What? Santa Ana winds? Okay.
That is what did the humidity.
We don't have Santa Ana winds. Quit bringing up California. This is Oregon.
Okay.
You're using California as working.
Just a really silly
Is it
question.
relevant?
Yeah, we don't know if we know.
How much of this bill, is there any part of this bill that has benefited any of us? Because as far as I'm seeing and hearing,
Money.
nothing here has been, what you've done has not benefited
Who asked you?
anybody that you work for.
Earlier, you heard about grants, we had grants in there.
That's not a benefit, because our insurance, our taxes, and everything
Yeah,
are still
that-
going
Yeah,
up.
drop by your insurance.
I have
That's
a
not a
comment.
benefit.
You
What is
have-
benefiting
you have local
us?
fire departments, you might call yours, who've gotten equipment and.
The fire department, we couldn't find our house.
Volunteer departments.
How many have gotten here in this area? She's asking for this area here, sir.
Well, you.
Jackson County.
You said you're in Wyman.
Yeah.
Do you have a volunteer fire department in Wyman?
We're supposed to, but they don't know where any of us live, and I live across the street.
Okay, so they're, how about World River, the city of Denver? Ask them. I would guess.
Ask them what?
Ask them where, how we
got money-
benefited?
If they got money from the state.
No, how did us
Ask them what you should know.
Don't you benefit when your fire department?
No, I don't. I just told you a story that the fire department could not find us.
If they're more effective, we benefit. If they just keep running and they're
They
still
have
effective.
They're
no training
volunteers,
whatsoever.
they're kids in the country.
So I
You've
have
got
a
18-year-olds that don't know you
I
can't
have
put fire
a
on.
quick idea
Now you're
here.
ignoring it.
Maybe you might know this statistic, because this has to do with a lot of rural property owners. The marijuana industry in the state of Oregon, okay? We invited everybody to come here, big land grabs, the state taxes the heck out of that stuff. How much money has the state made off of marijuana sales?
It's almost all gone into drug treatment.
But it's about $3 billion. Please, let me just finish here. I've heard.
That went well.
numbers that start with a B, right? 3 billion?
I don't know, I don't think it's.
Okay, here's the last suggestion, maybe, to take back with you and to think about. Out of that surplus, or the Oregon lottery, or any of these other things that are going on, these, folks that have had insurance companies for 35 years and 50 years and 25 years, and then they say they won't insure them, right? And if they can prove that this has happened, okay? How about the state of Oregon fit that bill? That way you hold the insurance company feet to the fire, and the state of Oregon has an initiative, and those dollars are getting used. So if you, okay, the money off the Oregon lottery, the money, like I said, I've heard Oregon has surplus $3 billion off of the marijuana industry, right?
Would you note that? I'm gonna catch.
And so we can, that is more than enough to cover every piece of property in southern Oregon, in all of Jackson County, and it would settle all this. If you've had your insurance for 25 years and 35 years, and they drop you, right? Which is supposedly not legal, because this will be a way around your map too. The state of Oregon.
That's not illegal for companies to drop.
Right.
Okay, I thought you said it was illegal for them to use this. So here's the last part. The state of Oregon, okay, can protect its citizens, can protect its tax-paying citizens, and fit that bill.
With their own money.
With the own money that's already there, sir. I just think that would be a great idea.
So
Since we let everybody else from Texas and Florida and overseas come in here, you know?
You probably may have heard of the FAIR plan. That is the state's insurance plan.
What plan is it called?
The FAIR plan, F-A-I-R. And it is for people who get rejected for coverage by more than 2 carriers. And you can get fire insurance from them. I'm gonna tell you, the terms aren't very good.
It's extremely
The premiums
expensive.
are high, and the cap on what you can collect is lower. So
Yep.
It ain't just an idea.
So the question becomes, it's being debated, should government take a bigger role in the insurance industry?
No.
No, just protecting the citizen whose insurance has been dropped.
Well, that's a role for government.
Using the money that you've already
The
paid.
money that's already there, this surplus, and please look into how much the state of Oregon.
Use that, just start thinking.
Yes.
No,
There you go.
same thing.
$10,000 a year for insurance on my property. I've been 35 years and never had a claim. And they drop me because they say,
you're a risk. Do you not think they owe me some money back?
Yeah.
Well, think about it. How can they do it? You said they're not supposed to in the writing in the law. It says they can't drop you based on where you're located on the map, but they are, and they tell you they are. The second thing I want to bring up is you mentioned grants.
We already announced that we're all in danger. Why would they not get the hell out of it?
Where's PPL? When they shut your power down, that they don't have a grant program so that you can install a generator. And I looked into it. If I could run my irrigation pump, to run my well, fight my own fire, $30,000 to get a generator big enough to run your house and your well and your irrigation. Where's the grant?
Well, again, we're asking for more government subsidies.
We're asking for the money we already gave
Well,
you.
they will pass the cost of that on to you in rates. So.
I've been around a long time, right? I was water master around here for 30 years.
We gotta say we're out.
All I want to say is, finish my statement. I'm not being rude, I'm not being obnoxious, I'm simply telling you that in LA, what was the biggest argument? Water. What happened to our fire hydrants? Why are our reservoirs dry? Why can't we turn our faucet on and get our rooftops wet? The guy that did saved his house.
Yeah, we're getting rid of dams.
So the bottom line is, PPL is doing this blackout whenever they want to, because they don't wanna get sued like they did in Phoenix and Talent. $350 million or whatever the number is, you probably don't have it overnight. Start the grant program. You're absolutely right. In the 90s, when they had the forestation grants, they would pay you, a man like this that has equipment, and his crew to come out and clean private forest lands under a grant. Or you could do it yourself and they pay you $25 an hour.
Well, I gotta say.
Montana's still doing that.
Let me, because we're out of time, a couple of people haven't spoken. Let's see.
But just, thank you for being here, Joe. I appreciate you being here. We have a huge problem. And it's the map, is the problem, yes. 90%, okay, there's 6% of the state has, landmass has high ratings like we have, probably everybody in this room.
We have more in our district.
90% is right here in Jackson, Josephine County. First question is, of the $220 million that was supposed to go into 762, what percentage did Jackson and Josephine County get? I know we got some grants, but I'm guessing it wasn't 90%.
It was 90%.
No, so that's one thing. Who's keeping
Most
track?
of it went to suppressing fires and everything.
Okay. I want you to know that Josephine, Jackson County, right now, that landmass value is going down. You can say, well, we have fires, we're at risk, it's gonna go down, but I can tell you, just had that conversation today with realtors. I wanna sell my property in Ashland, okay, I'm 5 and in urban wildland interface, oh my goodness, that's gonna be a problem. Yes, your insurance company covers you, will cover you, not gonna drop you, but they ain't gonna pick up, your potential buyer. So the buyer can't get insurance, of course, can't get a mortgage, the value of your property is going down, and that's happening across Josephine, Jackson County. Right now, values are plummeting. They will take it to the natural conclusion and say, well, everybody in the West who has a fire, who would move to the West because they got forest fires? Well, maybe not, but we do have a problem right now selling a home. If it's no longer risk, I appreciate Senate Bill 80 to change the semantics from risk to hazard. That's all I did saw with Senate Bill 80, if I'm not, that's what you did. That was a great bit of legislation following the debacle of 762. So I'm surprised you didn't think that there was going to be this outcry right now.
No, I didn't say that. What I didn't expect was that my annual town hall, people said was gonna be this because of the time.
Anyway.
I hear from people a lot. I know.
And I appreciate that we just don't know what the model's based on, appealing to a model that we don't know what is it we're appealing to. I would hope everyone appeals. I don't know who's gonna handle all those appeals, how long it's gonna take, but it's probably gonna be just smoke and mirrors and right out the window from what you
Yeah.
think, because they have the rules, won't tell you the rules, so you can't appeal. So that's a big issue.
One more and then.
How about a group conscience, the last, answer the few last questions in the air, in the room? Could you take the last 4 hands in the room?
Okay, 40, 30 years ago, there was a thriving timber industry that makes this what it all comes to. And since that time, has been a dramatic increase in forest fires. And what I find annoying, to put it mildly, is that politicians don't say, you know, we made a huge mistake here. What's going on now doesn't work. The forest here were known as the asbestos forest. There were crews in the forest that knew what they were doing and immediately jumped on whatever was going on. And here we're doing this, and I've got a map, and it's not, the end result is that it's never gonna be fixed, and that we're gonna be driven from the land because there's gonna be all kind of building codes that are so onerous, and maybe you don't have to do it when you live there, but you can't sell it with asbestos shingles. There is, like they did with fireplaces or stoves, you can't sell it. So our properties are going down, we can't get insurance, so it's a big mess. I think the end result is that that the legislator is trying, and you and Marsh are trying to get us off the land, quite frankly. I want to be.
We're singing. True spoken.
I'll just say that.
Lithium and gold here.
You're not gonna believe me, I have no interest in driving. None.
You'll save me.
The last thing I'll say is, I really feel frustrated. I think we are in a terrible place on wildfire. I would not put a lot of money of this valley surviving the next 15 years. I'm just looking at what's going on all around us. We're doing, that's not saying we got a perfect program. Of course we don't. This thing has to be revised over time. I will try to stay open and hopeful. Sorry if I argue.
You got two ladies over here that held their hand up for like a half an hour.
Tried to listen.
You really need to listen.
I didn't always succeed. I'm also very frustrated, but I am sorry we are all in this situation. Really.
Thank you, sir.